Hello everyone, Mark here, Mark's Max Muscle, and today we are taking a look at 5 bodybuilders, my top 5 bodybuilders that never once competed at the Mr. Olympia event. And this is, of course, another fantastic request from you guys. Like I often say, never cease to amaze me the great ideas you guys come up with. So how am I going to do this? Well, Steve Reeves, for one, maybe the greatest bodybuilder of all time that never once stepped foot on the Olympia stage. There's all kinds of other ones too, guys. Paul Winter, one of my absolute favorite bodybuilders. One of the best in the world also. But the thing of it is, the Mr. Olympia event just did not exist when Winter and Steve Reeves were in their prime, maybe at the tail end of Winter's career. And there was also a guy like Bill Pearl, one of the best of all time. And the Olympia was around at the tail end of Bill Pearl's career. He did compete in the 1971 Mr. Universe, NABA, and the Mr. Olympia champion actually competed in this event, where Bill Pearl got a victory over the Mr. Olympia event. So he was probably still the best bodybuilder of all time while the Olympia was still around. But I'm not going to count Bill Pearl for this one, considering the Olympia might not have been the greatest title when Bill Pearl was still around. Might have been still the NABA universe, but having said that, those guys, maybe some of the greatest bodybuilders of all time that never once stepped foot on the Olympia stage. But that leads us to my official list of bodybuilders, beginning with number 1 here. And these are in no real particular order, because I'm here to tell you, Jeff King. I mean, this guy competed as far back as 1979, for goodness sakes. He was in his prime in the mid-80s, probably 83. 83 was his mint. He was just mint here, guys. Look at this. And he was also known not only as Jeff King, but Neckzilla. You guys remember that nickname? So Rubia was not the first Neckzilla. This guy was absolutely perfect. And to think that he never competed on the Olympia stage, it is mind-boggling. Now, there's a lot of these gentlemen that never actually became IFBB pros. And that's the thing. Had they become IFBB pros, trust me, they would have been on the Olympia stage easily, because there was guys competing at the Olympia at that time that could not hold a candle to Jeff King. I mean, this guy, condition-wise, truly remarkable. Truly remarkable. And leads us to the next gentleman. And I'm going to tell you, every one of these guys is unbelievable. So you're going to hear me say the words incredible, unbelievable, things of that nature a lot. This is Victor Richards. And not just a big booming upper body. This guy had a back to match and lower half as well. Wow. So why, you may ask, why did this guy never compete at the Olympia? Yeah, he never even came close to being a pro. He competed a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. In like 1983. And he was not a big mass monster then, but dare I say he had potential coming out of the yin-yang. This guy's midsection. And then, of course, he just got big and he walked around huge. And people called him Mr. Big, but he never even tried to become a pro or ever step foot on the Olympia stage. But man, oh man, Victor Richards, number 2 on the list, but he could probably be number 1 as far as being the greatest genetics to never compete at the Olympia. Next up on the list, number 3, Matt Mendenhall. And I'm sure he was the first in a lot of your guys' minds and hearts as well. May he rest in peace. The late, great Matt Mendenhall. Still can't believe he's gone. What a perfect physique. And you talk to people that he competed with and they will say, this guy could have been the greatest of all time. And you look at the bunch that he was competing with at the NPC level. I mean, Kevin Levrone, Flex Wheeler, Paul DeMeo, Ronnie Coleman, come on. He was still getting a victory over Bob Ciccarello. And yes, I know, Bob, you guys make fun of him sometimes, but he meant business, for sure. He became a pro and competed on the Olympia stage. But not this guy. Matt Mendenhall. Competed way back as far as 82, I believe, up until 1991 when he called it quits. And I guess with a physique like his, why ruin it trying to get into that mass monster era? And like I said, may he rest in peace. Just died there a couple of years back. So, one of the greatest that never competed at the Olympia. And then we go to a great big mass monster. And I'm sure I'll get some criticism for putting Dave Palumbo as number 4, the 4th greatest bodybuilder never to compete at the Olympia. Nor did he become pro. But like I said, guys, very difficult to become pro. And when you did, trust me, Dave would have made it to the Olympia stage. He was competing with guys like, obviously here, Dennis James. I apologize, Dennis James. Couldn't think of his name, one of my favorites. But this guy, what did he place? 3rd at the Olympia one year? 4th or 3rd? I think he did place 3rd at a Masters Olympia. 4th at the Open. But with a guy trading shots with a guy that placed that high at the Olympia, yes, Dave could have made it to the Olympia stage. But he never did. So in my opinion, this guy had some of the best body parts of all time. No fooling. This back development. So, yeah, one of the best bodybuilders. One of the greatest, considering how famous he is now. One of the greatest never to compete on the Olympia stage. And now, the number 1 man. And in my opinion, this guy probably is. No, he is. He's the greatest bodybuilder. The best bodybuilder. Never to compete at the Olympia, Marco, like the name, Marco Savolainen. And if you've never seen this guy before, have a gander at those biceps. Those are cannon balls. Look at them from behind. My goodness, my goodness. The back on this guy, too, Marco Savolainen. At the 97 Finland Grand Prix, he didn't win. Actually, he placed way down in 7th. Believe it or not. At that event, he displayed a physique. I think he was robbed. He displayed a physique that was absolutely mint. This guy was not only huge, but he was conditioned as well and displayed some awesome body parts. And then the following year, he sucked. I'm just joking. He didn't suck, but he was a shell of a man. I would have actually had to ask him for an identification to prove that it was him. He did not look the same. He needed that wacky haircut. The little ponytail. It makes you more of a monster of a man than if you have just a store-bought haircut like this. It was store-bought. He competed again, 2001. He looked even, just farther away from that 97 version. But man, oh man. Might not have had it in him to continue to compete, but for a brief time in history, this guy had the greatest physique of all time that never competed at the Olympia. At that 97 Grand Prix, he was getting victories over guys like Milo Sarchev, Lee Priest, I believe he got a victory over that man as well. So them guys were definitely competing at the Olympia 97. So he was deserved. He's proof is in the pudding. And unlike Victor Richards, this guy was a proven commodity. Victor was too, but he didn't diet down, so he wasn't really. You gotta diet down. If you can't do it, then you can't do it. You're not the greatest bodybuilder of all time that ever competed at the Olympia. And I do believe Marco Savolainen, he is. And I know I put him number 5, but that's the 5th guy. And I think he's number 1. Number 1 with a bullet. So again, thank you very much for the great ideas, guys and gals. There's many other bodybuilders, current bodybuilders, obviously. Quentin Uriah, Martin Fitzwater. Do not fall into that hole of these guys, of those 5 gentlemen. I can almost guarantee these guys will be competing at the Olympia. A little bit easier once you become pro nowadays. Well, the point system's gone, so I mean, just as difficult now. A little easier to become pro, I should say, than back in Palumbo's day. Have a great one, guys. Al, what are you doing? How about subscribing to my channel, please? And if you're bored, if you're in the mood, you can check out my latest video. It is a good one. And there's a whole bunch of videos in this playlist all stacked together. So, you can watch every pose. Another one over here, too. 1, 2, 3, diddly dee.